This is the answer.
That was a whole bunch of nothing.
Right? Pure filler.
Yeah.
Nothing progressed at all. What a disappointment.
Just a flashback story. It's just some bedtime story she told Steven.
Yeah, come on.
Something, something, love.
Yeah, the answer's always love. This is really fucking good.
My fusiophobic side just can't deal with it. So that was just...
This is
aberration.
For maybe, I don't know if this is lack of a better term, if it's the perfect term. What a lovely episode. It was just fucking lovely.
That was just darling. Just darling.
It really felt like a...
yeah, made me all warm and fuzzy like right there.
It felt like kind of a genuine, like, romantic fairy tale, like in all the best ways. Not like the really lame, man, this really sucks way. Like, even the layout. Fucking gorgeous. Those simple shapes.
we started like just quoting like Sleeping Beauty because like it totally looks like the background art from
some of them. Yeah,
when they're in the forest.
Yeah, particularly when they're in the forest and they're dancing and swinging around. That was very.
This was definitely their like give us an Academy Award, Emmy type of like artsy film kind of episode. Like it was really artistic.
The
artisanal.
The layout, that fucking Blue Diamond. I love the design of that character. She's kept in the shadow.
How do the sizes work? Because we were just talking. I'm like, because I would totally want to be one of those giant gems like Blue Diamond or like where I'm like 80 feet tall or whatever. I'm just curious, like what it Are they just extra fancy? Is that like?
I think just different stones, different people. Like anything else.
I guess because I'm just like I took one look at her. I'm like, badass. That's what I want to be. And then Rose is the leader of the rebellion, and she's very tall. And
yeah, which did they establish before she was the leader of the rebellion? We knew she was a part of it. I didn't know if we knew she was the leader.
Yeah, I don't know if I got that either. I knew she was a major player in it.
But. And was the helper to Blue Diamond
like, by the way, how
the side? What was that? Lapis? I couldn't tell.
It looked kind of like her.
Yeah, I couldn't. And she had her eyes closed too, so I wasn't sure.
Maybe Lapis was a servant then.
Maybe, I don't know. But
I feel like there's more that's not being said about how this society is divided up. But we got a big piece of it right here with the way it's just like, you fused, abomination, out.
Well, because they were two different gems, that makes more sense now. Because I was always wondering, because it's like, well, it seems like they fused and that's okay, but it's because they're in it too long or something. So they're two different gems. That's
it also messed up the whole, like... I guess the rebellion was supposed to fall or something.
What a fun, the more I'm thinking about this, just what a fun setup that they live in a world where it's supposed to be two of the same gems, but two that are different is the abomination. And it's mostly, it looks like an all-gay society, and the ones that are different, those are the outcasts.
Hetero, what's up with that? That's, Star Trek The Next Generation did a great episode along similar lines. There was obviously a metaphor for that. And, like, it pointed out how ridiculous it is, because this person's just like, but, like, this feels normal. It's like, so you engage in hetero? That's weird. That's really weird. Like, they couldn't wrap their heads around it.
Yeah, it's almost like when you think about it, it's like it almost should be the other way, because it's like we would have better understanding, but we couldn't procreate, so...
When you put yourself in somebody else's shoes, you realize how ridiculous it is.
Yeah, well, that's why, I mean, like, some people, like, the reactions to, like, Idea of Zootopia were, like, mostly, good and stuff like that. But, like... When somebody's like, well, what did you want for an analogy of prejudice that's interesting and new and stuff? I'm like, this. I really like this a little more.
I still gotta see Zootopia. So.
It's good. It's fine. But when I think like 98%, or 99, I think it's at now. I know it's like some people are just saying it's okay, good.
Okay,
but 98 is still real.
You could have 99% and 40% of those critics could be like, yeah, it's all right.
Okay,
there's a difference between that and like this is the greatest movie ever made.
No, but that's still
just an indicator of whether they thought it was more
are saying
positive.
It's phenomenal then, and the 40%, the 40% say it's okay. None of them said it's okay, but I'm not recommending it. They're still really lean towards.
Some of it too
really
depends
positive.
on how Rotten Tomatoes divvies that up. Because sometimes I've read reviews where I'm just like, this seemed mostly negative, but they put it in just a positive enough category to give it a fresh.
Yeah,
and I'm like how?
But no, I mean to me this is just so imaginative and so beautifully laid out and just so rich in character and story and complex but simple. I mean, to me, it's got kind of everything to it.
And I so want to try her hair. I mean, that looks like cotton candy.
Even the layout.
It really did. I'm like, she has cotton candy hair.
Even the layout was both like so simple but so complicated too. Just these very simple shapes. The people, like, you know, were the simple shapes and with the dot eyes, you could see through them and stuff. But like the colors and the shading and just the various types. I mean, it's such a good blend.
Well, and the twist, because there is no truer thing in history than when you decide to be racist, prejudice, asshole, and exclude people, how it blows up in your fucking face. Because that was one of the greatest lessons in this episode is when they're like, oh, we're gonna destroy you, you can't do this. And what happens? Basically, now Garnet meets up with the fucking rebellion. And how do they treat her? They're like, no, it's okay. Like, you're important to us.
Like,
and
that's so cool. I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
Let's find out more.
Like,
This is so neat.
We'll treat you like, you know, a real person. And all of a sudden, now you got Garnet. The freaking Nazis did the same thing. They chased half their scientists out. They come working for us. Suck it. Like,
yeah, no, it's just...
When you exclude people, it blows up in your face.
Well, and it's so funny how much we keep repeating that. I mean, it's like...
Oh, God, yeah.
Well, that's why I fucking hate, like, you know, that we always had to keep seeing these stories of, like, you know, hey, you know, prejudice is bad, everything, because it's like, God damn it, we still need this shit.
Well, because you think it would be common sense.
That's
the 21st
the
century.
thing. Like, it does not seem complicated. It seems like common sense. And it's just not catching on with some people. It's catching on with a lot. When you look at, like, tolerance of, like, you know, history and stuff like that, I mean, we have gotten a lot better.
Well, that's part of the problem. Now we have the reactionary movement of tolerance. This makes me afraid. I'm a white man afraid of change. I can't deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, and yeah, it's just so strange. I mean, and you always think like, you know, oh yeah, like we've really come a long way, and I still think we have. I mean, compared to history and everything, but it's like,
oh sure,
when you see just how many there are of like the, you know, people are just like, no, I want to be in this box. I don't want anything different. I just want this one thing, and you're wrong for wanting something different. It's like, oh,
if it's not the white wall, it's not the.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things. I mean, and that does go to like. Not just race and gender and culture and all that stuff. I mean, it's a limiting mindset altogether.
Well, and
that's what makes it tough. It makes you dumber. That's what I can never understand. Don't they know it makes you dumber?
Well, and my problem with we've come a long way, as if that's like, we can stop now. We're done. We've achieved perfection, obviously. Like, I hate that argument. It's like, well, we've come a long way, as if like, okay, sure. Every single fucking generation since Adam and Eve, or Adam and Steve, or Eva and Eve, or who, like, ever since the dawn of time, every generation has said that. Like, I'm sure in the 1600s, well, we've come a long way. I mean, we're using leeches now. We used to just, like, chop off both your arms and pray to God that would work. But, you know, we've got leeches, so we can stop now because we've got leeches. We don't need modern science. We can stop. We've come a long way. Like,
yeah, see,
what the fuck does that even mean? It's just a cheap excuse to be like, oh, well, because it's better now than it was, we don't ever even have to think about this again and we can just stop.
No, I'm kind of glad we acknowledged how far we've come, because I think if not, you never appreciative that change is happening.
Oh no, you can appreciate it, but it never. No, but it never.
No, but you know, there's people that never appreciate it either.
It never
just
comes.
Like, no, come on, you're seeing nothing where nothing is here.
9 times out of 10, when somebody's like, yeah, but we've come a long way. Normally, it's with the mindset that like, we're okay, we're done. Like, it's very rare that I'm like,
we've come a long way. Let's see how much more we can keep going.
Yeah, very rarely, though, does it ever go that way. It's more like, we've come a long way, so we're good. How many politicians do that? Well, we've come a long way, so, like, we're good. I don't see races. I only see gray everywhere. I'm actually colorblind. Like, literally, I am like a dog. Like, I'm like, no, shut up.
But no, it is something where it's like, I don't know, it's interesting, and probably everybody that's, you know, lived long enough probably, I mean, everyone in their lifetime is going to see change happen, you know, for anything and everything, really, you know, whether it's for the better or for the worse, they're always going to see change happen. And I think that's why that mindset of, no, you have to be this one thing, or the world has to be this one thing, it's just, not only is it limiting, it's gonna hurt your survival, and you're not gonna thrive because that's how you don't thrive. You stick to one thing, and you're not open to the options. It's a survival tactic that doesn't allow you to survive. You have to go outside the cave. And I think that's what this episode
it's just medieval. How did that work out for them back then?
That's why it's called the Dark Ages. So I think it's one of those things where it's like, this is a nice episode that's already sort of hammering in what we know the message is, but from a very interesting kind of fairy tale-ish point of view, where I get sucked into the characters, I get sucked into the romance. Honestly, I really like romance if it's done well. I hate a lot of romantic comedies and stuff, so people think, oh, you hate romance. It's like, no, I love romance if it's done really well. Same thing with scary movies. I so rarely see a scary movie that's actually scary, so people think I hate scary films. No, I love them, I just see so few good ones. And I felt like this really tried...
I hate films that are trying to be scary, but aren't.
It's one of those things where it's like, I like how it's both very simple and very complicated at the same time. I was actually almost afraid I wouldn't be able to follow the story because they're talking about the rebellion and the 7 stones and far up, and I'm like, oh, I hope there's not going to be a test later, but...
5,000 years ago, this sounds like a Scientology backstory.
Well, we're all going to go back to gems. I mean, we all know that. That's common knowledge.
It's in Dianetics.
But,
I saw it in Battlefield Earth, actually.
But yeah, so I really like the way this was laid out. I love the way, I love how simple it was. I love how there's still complex elements to it. And just, I really think the layout especially... Stop that.
That's my cell phone's over there.
I know. But the layout especially, I think, kind of sums up the episode, where it's both very simple, but, has very complex elements in terms of, like, the color and the shading and the layout. But it's still based on a very simple idea. And I love that. I think there's just such a good combination of that. This episode seems all about combining things. And so you have these very simple shapes, but these very complex colors and shades. But it's in everywhere. That's what I like about it. But it's also a bedtime story, too. And I just think this is what Lady in the Water wants to be. I think this is what I wanted to do.
Oh, my God! Fuck yeah!
Like, this is what it should have been. Like, this.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have even thought of that. But I'm like, had Lady in the Water been this, I would have been like, watch though, he still would have ruined it. It would have been Steven would have been played by Paul Giamatti.
Tell me more
about the crystal gems.
But
Garnet would be played by Jeff Goldblum just because.
Or the hot dogs guy.
Save the Earth, save the world.
So, yeah, I'm trying to think what else to say about it. But
do you like crystal gems?
But it's also setting up that there's more to the story too.
Mark Wahlberg would totally be Peridot. You want to destroy the world? What? No!
I really like how it's setting up more like there's still mystery. It's not like all the answers either. It's just enough setup that you're getting more and more information.
This is what... Because I just watched the reboot of X-Files, which actually though was decent. The middle episodes are really legitimately awesome, and then the book-ended ones are kind of like, eh. But the way in which more shit happened in 6 episodes and then over 9 seasons, like, this is what X-Files should have been, where it's like, you reveal pieces of these mysteries as you go along, but I don't feel like I'm being dicked around here, which is what X-Files did to me.
It also doesn't feel like
I feel like
lecture.
I'm getting, I'm not getting lectured, I'm getting pieces of information, there's still mystery, because I don't need all the answers. Like, I don't come from the group that's just like, there's so many people that, well, you didn't answer every single question! I don't need that, but answer some questions, you can leave some mystery, like, this show's doing it perfectly.
Yeah, it really is.
And it's rare I see that. Like, so many times there we get like a fucking Lost or or the X-Files, which is like 9 seasons, and then
or again, even movies. We always go back to like Jupiter Ascending and the Shyamalan Lady in the Water, the Shyamalan movies, and it's one of those things where it's like I just feel like this is how you do it right. A lot of films that are trying to achieve that, or even like fantasy writers, or anyone that wants to do like a long-term thing. I think this is a very good show to watch and see what simple elements to hold on to, what complicated ones do you emphasize.
This was a better love story than most like romantic comedies I've ever seen in my entire life, and it did it in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, think about that.
Well, and again, we see that a lot of the Sapphires are kind of the same. You know, they all look alike and stuff. So I mean, again, we're getting just these little drops, these little nuggets, but they're delivered at just the right time, as just the right amount of information you need, and then just the right amount left out, so you can get attached to what's going on. I thought it was very well done. The one thing I was kind of curious about, did the voice actors seem a little different to you, like the ones of Sapphire and I'm forgetting the other one. Ruby. I'm sorry, the Rubies were the.
I honestly, I don't remember.
Okay,
I don't remember exactly
they sounded
what they
younger, and
sound
maybe that
like,
was the
so.
intention. Maybe they were meant to sound younger because it was supposed to be longer ago. Like they almost sounded like, like young teenagers or something like that. Like they almost sounded like kids. But I don't know if that's the same. But I might just be remembering it different.
I don't remember. Like I kind of remember their voices, but not well enough to be like, oh, they're completely different.
Also, the last thing I noticed, some things seem particularly anime in this. Like the little lines under the eyes when they're blushing. Like I thought that was really, really anime. And the look on Rose's face, like the really bright,
There's a lot of
eyes,
anime
really
influence
big.
in this.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's throughout a lot of it, but this one particularly, like with the drawings of them and their expressions, like whenever they tense up and go like that just seemed really, really.
Well, I've seen the little sweat bubble occasionally,
coming down and stuff.
There's a lot of like little anime things, like anime tropes that.
And interesting too, finding out that Garnet was the last one. Well, okay, and not the last one, but you see more and more the connection between Pearl and Rose, like. That really was it. It was just the two of them, and again, you can see a little bit more.
And these other people show up.
You can see a little bit more, like sort of the protection and everything. That hey, like it used to just be the two of us. Like we were kind of the main thing of the rebellion.
I will say, like, I'm wondering if they'll flesh this out more. But were they just the rebellion? I'm like, is it just those two, or were there others?
Because
I thought I saw there were like big battles and swords.
I think
it
would have to be more.
That's what I'm thinking, but it was just the way it was just those two.
Rose was the leader, and like Pearl was kind of like the bodyguard.
That's what I got, but I just thought it was weird that it was just those two that showed up. So I'm like, I'm assuming there's more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, it was a good, strong episode. I mean, just
that was really good. Even for a filler episode.
Yeah, filler. Even like the last line of what was the answer? Love, like. Any other story, I'd be like, shut the fuck up.
The funny thing is, any other story, I literally would have been, blah. And like this, I'm just like, oh, it's adorable.
When they did that in Harry Potter in the movie, it's like, what was the mark and what was the love? I'm like, love. Shut up.
Oh no, that 5-second movie you did summed it up, where he's like kicking ass and there's like people blowing up and magic spells and it's just like love. I'm like, yeah, sure, love. When you're firing that magic wand at everybody.
So okay, we're gonna head out because man, that phone's dinging a lot. But yeah, really, really good episode, and we'll see you at the next one later.